Hello, everyone. How are you feeling this morning? Hope it's okay. Thank you for the invitation and thank you for the introduction. As it was previously said, my name is Chichłowski. I work for Vivid Games and I'm product manager there. And today I'd like to show you a few examples and tell you a few secrets about how to convert a paid title to free-to-play title, which I must say isn't a very easy task to do. So first, few words of self-advertisement. Vivid Games is one of the biggest mobile game company in Poland. We are being granted with a few of the rewards as well, including the last year Digital Dragon Best of the Game for real boxing. We are listed on New Connect, and right now we can say that we're proudly a publisher of two titles, the biggest titles, Godfire and Real Boxing. And one of them, Real Boxing, has been a paid title, which we converted to free-to-play last year, June. Okay, so this is a hero of today's presentation. And before I'll talk more, I'd just like to play you a trailer. Sorry about it. Okay. So Real Boxing, this is the most popular boxing game and definitely one of the most popular sporting games ever been on App Store. We've already gathered 20 million downloads, over 20 million downloads, and we have on average 5 million monthly active users, which in the sports category probably makes us one of the, definitely the top of the games that are here. The game was launched and released 2.5 years ago. And since that, we managed to switch it to free-to-play and double or even triple the revenues. But switching it to free-to-play was a crucial and very strategic thing to us to do. It was made as well kind of by accident. We didn't plan that to do that in the long term. I'm gonna talk about it a bit later. But then from the perspective of some time, I see that this was one of the most important moves we did at Vivid Games that guaranteed us the position that we have right now. So I just have a question for you guys. How many of you are publishing free-to-play titles? Okay. Paid? Paid, okay. Half, something like that. Okay, I'm not sure if you're aware, probably you're aware of that, that's kind of a public information, but every prediction that people or analytics made, and especially the stores, are telling that till 2017, they're gonna, like 97% of the revenues are gonna be driven by free-to-play, which obviously makes it a very interesting market. And if someone has a paid title, I guess it's not like a must-have, but at some point he should think about it if switched to free-to-play. The problem with paid titles is that from the very beginning when you design the game, you should actually think about the business model you're doing it. It's really something very, very important. Me and my colleagues, we can say from the experience that if you don't treat it from the very beginning and if you do not think about the business model you're going to publish the game with, you're going to regret that for the rest of your life. So it's very important to do it. And today I'd like to show you how we did it, and I kind of make a transition matrix, something like that. So I put on the 3 layers. One of them is organization, second is strategy, and the third one is action. And on those 3 levels, I kind of differentiate how you should behave when you're paid, what you do in the middle ground, so during the transition itself, and then after that, when you're free to play. And it's very important to plan it ahead, really. That's a very, very important move. The best way for me, like me personally, I think the best way to describe the difference between paid and free to play is that when you're having a paid title, you're building the brand. You're building the awareness of the brand. You're building the image in order to break the barrier of the price and sell the product. And that's your main concern, right? Like obviously, the gameplay, I mean the game itself is very important, but in terms of sales, you are mainly concerned about how to just break this initial barrier. But when you're free to play, the fun just starts when the player downloads the game. That's just half of the success. And it makes the strategic of the publishing and marketing of in free-to-play world really tense, really difficult to do, but it definitely pays off. So paid is about building the brand, while free-to-play is about building the product. And there are even people, and I agree with them, who are going farther beyond that, and they're saying that publishing a free-to-play title is actually publishing a service. So it's a constant stream of experience, of user experience, of game experience that we provide to our users. And it has constantly to change and differentiate in order to give them the best experience we can get. Okay, so this is the transition matrix I've done, and I guess like on a very general level, it kind of covers all the areas that we should think about when we're planning to do such move. So, as I said, organization, strategy, and actions. I'm working in a publishing and marketing department, so there are going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to cover from my area of interest in terms of on those 3 levels. So first one, what you have to keep in mind when you're when you're doing the shift in your organization. When you're having a paid title, publishing and marketing department, promotion department, whoever is doing the publishing should be concerned mainly about raising the brand awareness, as I said. So you have to keep a lot of creative competences in the company, taking a real concern about the quality of marketing assets, of idea how to promote your game with the at least less effort in terms of the costs, right? And product manager is definitely a more brand oriented, so he's more of a marketing manager, and that's his main concern, to take care about how the product sells on the App Store, how it looks on the App Store. When you're shifting to free-to-play, data is the key. Absolutely, data is the key, and this is something that will be all over all my slides. But it's at some point you just have to realize that you have to analyze much more than you have done before, both in terms of the gameplay itself, what kind of KPIs you have, KPI metrics you have in the game itself, but as well from the marketing side. Because as I said, when your user will download your game when you're free to play, it's just half of the fun. And then you have to convert and monetize your users, which is a tricky thing to do. So on the middle ground, when you're shifting from paid to free to play, in terms of the organization, you have to think what kind of competences you have to gather in your department, and that would be definitely analytics. Other thing is definitely a big part of free-to-play, which is user acquisition. And when you're building a proper free-to-play game, this is something you probably won't avoid. So it's not like the best topic to do, probably, like for me personally, but buying users, getting them, it's essential to have enough user base and enough goods to monetize and pay off the hold the cost of the department. So getting someone who knows about user acquisition, if you haven't done it before, that's very important. And at the same time, user acquisition, it's all about data as well. So there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be involved in terms of the data analytics. Another difference, which is very important, is that when you're having a paid title, as I said, product manager is more brand-oriented, more marketing-oriented, while when you're moving to free-to-play, it's, as I said, it's about a constant data delivery to users, and you have to change it very quickly, change it very rapidly, adapt it to specific target users. And in order to do it, there has to be a real connection between production and marketing. So product manager he's given and he keeps more of the responsibility of project manager actually. So he should be more close with the production and plan all updates, because it's very relevant that he will guide and give the kind of guidelines for the roadmap of the product, what to deliver, and you have to do it definitely more often than it was when you have a paid title. Okay, so strategy. Yeah, that's. I think for me personally, that's the biggest difference when you're paid and free to play. That's the whole shift of the philosophy of the way that company thinks. When you're paid, you basically can depend on being featured. Press can do the job, which is very important as well. Some virality, but basically, that's it, guys. When you're paid, you're much more dependent on the store and their judgment and what you can do on your own, but you cannot you cannot really buy users because it doesn't pay off that much. I mean, I know few titles, paid titles, that are buying users, but in most cases, it just doesn't calculate. So at the end of the day, the LTV you can get from your game is much, much, much lower than you would actually have to pay for each user. And so when you're being paid as a title, you're mainly focused on how to please guys at Apple and Google in order to secure your featuring slot. And that's obviously a big secret, and it's very important. But to give you like the best advice is just to listen to them. I think the lady from Apple is here as well. But it's just listening what they need. It's securing what they need, and in that way, it's I guess the easiest way to be featured. So when you're moving to free-to-play, you have two very important moments that you have to plan. One itself is the moment when you switch to free, and that's very important because we did it with real boxing, and the thing is that when you're switching the price to free, there are a lot of like algorithm machines that are counting the price, and they're tracking the price of the applications. As soon as you drop it to zero, they treat it as a promotion or some kind of big discount, and they just pop out to other users. There are millions of users who are using such apps in order to find another apps, which makes this moment very, very important, because at the very moment where you will switch the price to zero, you will get a lot of downloads, a lot, like in this specific moment. So you have to plan ahead this specific moment, and obviously there is another points that comes after that. So you have to plan everything that will happen after. And the thing is that when you're trying to plan it, I would really recommend actually thinking in a free-to-play perspective. So I would even recommend doing a soft launch, even if it's gonna be small, even if it's gonna answer us the very basic questions. But it's very important to check how the game will perform. I guess everybody knows. I know few situations where developers switched their price. The downloads was incredibly high, and they earned $20 per day, which sucks, right? Because before that they were, I don't know, getting $100 or $200 per day, whatever. It was different, right? So you have to even test on a very small sample size what will be the key metrics of your game. So what will be the RPPU, ARPMAU, what will be the conversion rate, which is crucial, what will be the retention. And this is the way you're digging into, and you're moving from the model where you actually are concerned about three things, which is download, revenues, and rating on store. You're moving into the world where you have 20, 30 metrics, and you have to cover them all. So definitely doing a soft launch, that might be very worth to think about to do it. Another thing is the moment itself, so the middle ground, finding a partner who can help you. We did it with the free game credits, they were called before free app a day program. I'm not sure if they still exist. I don't think so, but probably there are some other opportunities like that on the market. But basically how it works is that they take your application, and while you switch it to zero, they promote it as well. And you just share the revenues that everything is above the organic downloads. And they've done a really great job with real boxing, so I guess similar companies are out there and worth trying to do. But it's very important because, as I said, this is the moment that will be the one of the most important moments in your lifetime value of your whole application. And once you will move to free-to-play and you will pass this moment, let's say you guys are quite happy with RPPU, and you're getting, I don't know, more than you get before. For us, okay, this is the moment to tell about the exact stuff that happened with real boxing. For us, we planned to do the price drop with FGC just for some small time. We actually planned to do it only for weekends. And after the weekend, initially we wanted to get back to the full price. But then after we gathered on Monday, we saw that the revenues are triple as it were. And everybody was like, okay, let's keep it day longer. Let's keep it day another longer. After 2 weeks, we get to the point that we decided, there is no way we will switch it to paid anymore. Because the revenues, even organically, after the whole hype, after the promotion, were still double than it were before. So, so once we moved to free-to-play, we started to not only think how to gather users, but as well how to improve the monetization of the game. Nevertheless, the game was better in terms of the revenue that it was before. We still kind of sucked with the LTV. So there were like a lot of things to do, to change, to improve in terms of monetization. And here's the case when you actually see that if you're not thinking about business model from the very beginning, it's going to be pain in your ass. And it was, because when you design the game from the very beginning as a paid, you don't think about, I don't know, second currency, different time gates, different item inventory. There's a lot of stuff that you have to think about it earlier. So we moved to the next step, and we started to implement those new updates that were from the very beginning intentionally directed to raise the RPPU, which is really fundamental key factor for a free-to-play game. And it's very important when you plan a strategy for a free-to-play title is that you should do really updates more often. You should constantly change the game. And actually, with Real Boxing 2, we even have a plan to deliver content and differentiate it on live, on the go, every day, to every different users. I can pinpoint, I know, this quarter, this quarter, this quarter. Every one of you could have different user experience depending on your user behavior. That is the future of free-to-play, and that is how this segment should work. And obviously, data. Data is everything, as I said before. Okay, last thing about the actions itself. What's the difference? As I said on the previous 2 slides, when you're paid, you mainly worry about the quality of your marketing assets. As a product manager, that's your job to do, to ease up and soften the price barrier that player has to go through in order to get your game. And like generally, that's it. That's it that you should worry about. If your user download the game, of course there is a user experience and a game experience, and this is how it will mirror in terms of ratings. So if you have a good ratings and you have a good quality marketing assets, then you're quite fine, let's say, like generally. But as soon as you will move to free-to-play, you have to start thinking about those small, tiny details of the way how you publish your titles. And there are a few things that I'd like to talk to you about that had really a significant impact on our sales. One of them is ASO, so App Store optimization. It's very crucial, really. Like when we finally pulled it off and done really good job in terms of our keywords, name of the icon, everything that raises your visibility on the store, the difference was 15% of revenues. That is the amount that actually change when you're thinking good about the ASO, and that is very important. If you don't have it in your company, someone who knows it, there are tons of company who can who can help you with that, and it's very important to think about it. Name of the icon, keywords, that's very essential. How you're being searched, it's different for different countries. People tend to, for example, tend to place only English keywords. And it's very bad because people in other countries, like, I don't know, for example, China, they don't know English that much. So they're actually not looking for English keywords in their store. Another funny fact, and this is kind of a tip in terms of the ASO, there is no reason to type an English keywords in countries that, for example, we do not consider as a major market. Because English is a kind of like a native language for App Store, and English is always being copied to another segment. So we do not have to repeat it. Every store around the world, every application in the store around the world can be searched through the English keywords. So you don't have to repeat that, and at the same time, you actually have 100 letters of free, you can place the specific keywords for the specific target market. Another thing is the user acquisition. That's a big stuff, and probably this could be talked over for about, I don't know, 2-3 hours, probably a week. But basically, the whole thing about the user acquisition is that at the end of the day, your LTV, so the whole LTV stands for lifetime value, which is a parameter that shows how your game will monetize. On average, your game, how much it will earn. One copy of downloaded game. And if this LTV is bigger than the CPI, so cost per install, then you're in home. And then it's safe, then it's okay. And if it's not, then you have to tweak it. On the one hand, you obviously have to tweak the game itself, so you try to raise the monetization a little bit, find stuff in the design that will raise your RPPU. And on the other hand, you're trying to be more detailed and thorough in terms of user acquisition. You're trying to be more target-oriented. So you're looking for smaller groups, targeted smaller groups, which can deliver you users with higher possible LTV. And like basically that's it, but there are like tons of different third-party companies that are being integrated when you're having fun with user acquisition, like mediation companies. Obviously, there are tons of ad networks. Everyone should be considered. You should test it, and this is probably the good place to mention it about it as well. When you're doing some major changes, do soft launch. It's not that easy to do it like on to go, but for example, Android gives you this opportunity to launch your application or update only in a specific country, and this kind of lets you to test your game. Change your game often. As I said, it's more a service right now when it's free to play. So you definitely should deliver the new content to your user. Measure that, what he likes, deliver him new content, deliver him new items, and craft it particularly for particular target. A/B testing, experiments, price elasticity. That's all about that all comes up to testing. That's very crucial. As I said, with paid, you should care about how to sell your game and if it's good, like in generally. When you're being free to play, people download your game, okay, but they still have to monetize, so you have to check different solutions, test them as much as you can. I know for a fact that like the biggest developers around the world, they run about 100 tests per day for different things. I don't know, they change the price of one item for different users on different streets, whatever. But they run about 100 tests, and they run it every day in order just to optimize the game. With free-to-play, you're working on a scale, right? Like we said, Real Boxing has already been downloaded for 20 million times. And conversion is obviously around a few percent, right? So you're working on a big scale, but with a small basis. So every little thing you can tweak in the game will impact performance of the game. And always try to raise your user base. That's the thing with free-to-play currently, and everybody is speaking about it, is that unfortunately the CPIs are becoming higher and higher. So the cost per install is becoming much more less cost-effective. And in this manner, we have to really think about how we can raise our user base without paying for user $3 or $4. Which is terrible problem and becoming more and more of a problem to most of developers. There are only few who can, like really without any problems buy whatever traffic they want. So what our people currently on different conferences around the world are talking about more and more is about the K factor. K factor of your game shows the quality of your game in terms of the virality. So how much is possible for my game to be recommended by my friend to another friend, basically. That's it. And right now, when people are calculating this K factor in the best games, the cost of the integration of social features in the games are definitely less expensive than buying the users itself. So K factor and social aspects of the game is something that we should think about as well. Please remember, I don't know, about Facebook, SDKs, everything you can inject into the game so it will go social. That definitely would help you. And at some point, you will be very happy about that you did it. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm 16 minutes before time, but I guess that's it. At the end of the presentation, I'd just like to say that if you guys want, visit the booth on the other side. There's a booth of Real Boxing Vivid Games over there. And if any one of you would like to join us and work for us and work of, I think, the best free-to-play title that it's coming out this year in Poland, definitely, feel free to talk with us. And if you'd like, you can join us and we can do it together. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Converting game into free-to-play is a great opportunity to gain new users. How did you use such opportunity? Converting game into free-to-play is a great opportunity to gain new users. How did you use this opportunity?
Yeah, I think the best answer to these questions would be about this moment when you switch it itself. When you switch the game, as I said, you get immediate attraction, like a lot of it. So how to use this opportunity? I guess the most essential would be actually to focus on this moment. So think about getting a partner, as I said, who can help you to drive it even better. Prepare yourself before that. So start to measuring stuff like RPPU, ARPMAU conversion. Just check it how it works on your game. If it's a game that it's strictly paid and it doesn't have any microtransactions in it, then it's going to be even worse. So prepare yourself for that because you have to still make a lot of changes into the game. You have to put microtransactions to that. So I would say get someone who can help you. obviously inform your partners' sales channels. They will be probably happy to promote you as well, because for them it's a great opportunity as well. And measure, measure, measure. I think that's it.
Yes, thank you. How did you manage not to upset people who had bought the app before?
That's the thing, right? It is important. We just took care of it. We differentiate the experience. So the game identified if the user has paid anything before that, and he had different user experience. But it's good that you mentioned about it, and I should talk about it as well. That it's crucial, right? You obviously, when you're switching the game and you don't want to run another SKU, so you just want to use the same user base, you have to think that you have some pool of users that are coming from the paid version of the game. If you're not gonna think about the different experience for those different targets, then definitely you're gonna upset them and get lower ratings. But this is something from the very beginning, we knew about it and we covered this area. We just differentiate the user experience. So the paid users, they weren't, for example, being displayed ads. They didn't have, I don't know, some kind of monetization tools like pop-ups, etc., etc. For them, it was the same game. Thank you so much for having me. And guys,